Welcome to our first lightning talk of the day, Team Collaboration Empowered by Confluence Templates. Kesha from the Confluence team will be presenting, and fun fact, when she's not working, you can find Kesha trying all the food that San Francisco has to offer, or jamming out to 90s throwbacks in her car.
Did I provide you with that? Forgot. Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Kesha. I have been on the Confluence marketing team here at Atlassian for a little over 2 years now. And when I first joined as a non-technical team member, I found that working with our technical team was a little bit chaotic. And I'm sure that those of you in the audience who are on a technical team feel the exact same way about working with my kind of people as well. For example, we had a lot of misalignment on things like due dates for marketing assets or feature releases. We were also pretty disorganized, so we had information in a ton of different Confluence team spaces. We needed like 1,000 different Confluence page links to get all the information that we needed. I'm sure some of you guys have felt that before. And we also didn't communicate very frequently. So we would talk maybe once every few weeks, maybe once a month. And I don't know what kind of product marketer doesn't talk to their product team. Probably not a good one. So we decided as a team that something probably needs to be changed, and we can fix this and make this better. So we partnered with our product team and came up with this. So this is just a portion of our comms plan template that we use for every product and feature update that we do. Not only has it allowed us to align across our whole entire team, so product, dev, marketing, design, support, social, you name it, but we're also able to stay on top of a lot of the information that tends to change pretty frequently. So think big milestones for feature releases, or task owners, task due dates, that kind of thing. The template also ensures that all of our information stays in one place. So we don't have to go to a bunch of different team spaces. I don't need to click on a bunch of different Confluence links to get all my information. We just go to this one page, and it's here. The last thing it's allowed us to do is standardize our processes. So because we use this template for every single product and feature update that we do, not only is kicking off this process so much quicker, but we also know exactly who to involve, and we know what information is expected of us every single time. And since rolling it out, not only do we have more visibility into the work that's happening across our whole entire team, but we communicate much more frequently, and we collaborate much more effectively. But we're not the only ones. So over the last couple of months, we've spent a lot of time talking to our customers on how they collaborate via content. And if any of you are active users in the community, I'm sure you've seen me poking my head around and commenting on your posts and asking you guys a bunch of questions. If you've responded, thank you so much. But a common thread in a lot of those conversations has been the use of templates. So in this talk, I'm going to dive just a little bit deeper into how templates can support team collaboration, and then we'll just dive right into how to create your own. So why templates? I personally am obsessed with them, but we can narrow them down to 3 main reasons to love them. The first one, probably the most obvious one, is saving time. So if you don't have to recreate the same project plan template or the same meeting notes template, and you already have one pre-made, you just fill it in, you can devote that time and that energy to something that's much more important. The second one is maintaining consistency. So templates ensure that we consistently format and organize our information. And assuming that you're using the same template across multiple projects, across multiple teams, you're able to standardize your processes as well. So just like our comms plan template that we use, everyone in your organization will be able to, one, kick off a project much faster because they know exactly what they need. They'll know exactly who to involve, and they know what information will be expected of them right off the bat. The last one is improving communication. So another thing that templates allow us to do is to not forget any important information, because we've already agreed, here's the template, here are the fields that we need to fill in, and it's just a game of fill in the blank. So having all the visibility into all the information that you need means that the quality of your communication with your team is going to go way up, right? You're not circling around and going back and forth and trying to figure out all this table stakes information that you could probably get on a template. So jumping right into creating your own. So at Atlassian, we use a ton of our own templates, and mostly to standardize processes within our department or maybe across our whole organization. For example, our product and engineering teams use a requirements template to scope out new features. Our marketing team uses a go-to-market template when we're planning campaign activities and messaging. Our whole company uses an OKR template, and we use this to set quarterly goals and objectives. So every team at our company uses this same exact one, and it gives us a lot of visibility into what other teams are doing and how they're progressing along. And the last one is a project one-pager. So we use this to give high-level insight into our projects for both our team as well as our stakeholders. So it'll have information like our background information, what are the key deliverables, how are we measuring success, what's the scope of the project, and any major milestones that we might have. But I'm going to actually walk you through how to create a DAISY. So if you're not familiar with the DAISY, it's a decision-making framework that we use to bring people together to make an important decision. So I'm going to walk you through the one that we use internally, as well as something called a DAISY register. That's just a page that summarizes all of the DAISYs related to a specific project or maybe located in a specific space. So whenever you want to create or customize a template, you'll go to your space settings, and you'll go to your content tools at the top, and you'll land on a page like this. Here you'll see a Create New Template button in your right-hand corner. Just simply click on that if you want to create a new template, and it just acts as a blank page that you would normally see in Confluence. Below that, you'll see all of our Confluence native templates. And if you find any that you want to customize and make them your own, you just simply click on Edit to the right that you want to customize. Just note that if you come to this page and you come to space settings and you don't see any option to go to your content tools, it's because you do need to be a space or a site administrator in order to do this. You're always going to be a space administrator of your personal space, so you can go wild in your personal space and create all the templates that you want. But if you want to do it in another space, just make sure you're an administrator or contact your administrator and let them give you access. So before we dive into actually creating them, I also want to note that templates can seem a little bit intimidating to make depending on how advanced or not you are, but it's pretty simple. It's just text, tables, and macros. And if you're unfamiliar with a macro, it's just a way to expand the power of your page just by adding some extra functionality to it. So if you've ever added a Jira issue to a page, that's a macro. If you've ever added a status lozenge to your page, that's a macro. Cool, so let's pretend I clicked on Create New Template and I landed on a blank page. In the interest of time, I've pre-filled this, but normally it wouldn't be pre-filled. Right off the bat, you can see I have text, tables, and macros. So on the left-hand side, I have something called a page properties macro. A page properties macro basically lets you define some values that you can later pull into a high-level report later. On the right-hand side, I have an info macro at the top that basically just lets you add a box to your page to add any extra information for whoever's on your page. Below that, I have an expand macro, and that lets the viewers of your page either show or hide information as they please. Everything that's on the right is totally optional. We just like to add it to add some extra information for anyone who's on our page, who's here to help us make a decision. You don't have to have it. What's on the left, the page properties table, is the more important part. So here, we like to tag any of our teammates who might be involved in making a decision and include things like the status, the impact, and the due date. In the page properties table, you'll also see some grayed out text. This is called instructional text, and it's a way to guide your users on how to fill out your template. So I'm going to walk you through how to add instructional text as well as something called a variable. A variable basically adds a text box to your table. So in order to add instructional text or a variable, you go to your toolbar, you click on the little page icon, and you click New Variable. I'm going to go ahead and label this one Impact. And with variables, you have 3 different formatting options. So you have plain text, multi-line text, which is like a paragraph box, and then a list, which is a drop-down list. I'm going to go ahead and choose a drop-down list, low, medium, and high as my options. And then below that, you'll see our instructional text. And you also have 3 formatting options for that. So plain text, user mention, or a Jira macro. User mention lets you @mention your teammates on a page and tag them. A Jira macro formatting just lets you insert a Jira issue to your page. Cool, so once you're done with that, the rest of the template is super, super simple. It's just text and tables. So we always like to add an area to add background information, add any data to help you make your decision a little with more informed data. You have a table below that to present your options. So in our table, we like to include things like rollout information, any pros and cons, as well as any risks, costs, and effort associated to each option. Below that, it's totally optional, but we like to add a lot of reference information, so maybe some FAQs, maybe it's links to other Confluence pages, or any action items that you're going to assign after you come to a decision. And after you're done with any template, you always want to add a label and a description. So a label just basically lets you organize and search for your pages easily. It's just a way to categorize. So I added the label Daisy Test to this one, which means anytime I create a page using this template, that label automatically gets attached. You're also going to add a description, just 1 to 2 sentences on what your template is, and this will show up in your create dialog when a user goes to create a new page. They know what your template's all about. And once you're done, you get to your finished template. On the left, you can see the drop-down list variable that we added, low, medium, and high. On the right, you can see our info macro. Below that, our expand macro. And as we scroll down, you'll see the areas that we left to add background information, any data, our options table, as well as our FAQs and action items. Cool, so Daisy register. So again, this is a page that just summarizes all the Daisies related to a specific project. It's a super, super simple page. It's just text and macros. Right off the bat, I've already added a create from template macro. I'm not gonna walk through this one because it's really, really easy to add, but if you're unfamiliar with it, it just adds a button to your page that lets a user create a page using the template you specify. So I've linked to our Daisy template. If a user clicks on the button, they can create their own Daisy with it. Under outstanding decisions and closed decisions, we're going to add the page properties report macro. So the page properties report macro pulls values from our page properties table and basically displays them into a report. And it does that using labels. So I'm going to add the labels of the pages that I want to appear, so our Daisy test label. I'm also going to add labels that I don't want to appear, and I do that by adding a minus sign in front. So I don't want any closed decisions in this section. The rest of this is just formatting. So what columns do I want to show? How many rows do I want to show? And maybe how do I want to sort it? Once you're done with that, you'll do the same with closed decisions. It's just copy and paste. So it keeps all of our formatting. And the only thing that we're going to change is how we present our labels. And I'm going to add another filter for a label. And by adding 2 label filters, this works as an AND function. So this label and this label. All of our formatting stays the same, so you don't need to change anything. And once you're done, you have your Daisy register. Normally it's a lot more filled out, but we have our Create Daisy button on the top left. We have our outstanding decisions and our closed decisions. And something to note here is that because we used a macro, this register acts as a living page. So that macro is tracking any page with the label that we have specified. So when that page updates, our register updates. So it's a really good place to send someone if they want to see any of the decisions from the past or any decisions that are still outstanding. Cool, so I'll close out by saying that there's a lot of flexibility in the content that you can create, whether it's our product requirements page or a marketing plan, but templates let you take it one step further by giving your teams really easy place to align, communicate, and collaborate. And I'm not sure how much time we have for questions. 1 minute?
You have one question.
We have one question. I do have a bunch of business cards though, and I love talking about templates, so if you guys want to ever ask me any questions about them or show me yours, I would love to see them. Question? Anyone?
the instructional text being a drop-down.
Yes.
Which level of Confluence is this? Is this available in all?
Yeah, that should be available. Yeah, the
server.
variables with the drop-down list.
Yeah, the variable, yeah.
That should be available.
Wonderful. And one other question about instructional text. It does get included in search results, doesn't it?
The instructional text.
The instructional text.
It shouldn't get included in search results. I can follow up with you on that one, but it should not get included in instructional text.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.